PlayStation 6 handheld news time, people. We're over at thegamepost.com, and this again comes from Moore's Law is Dead, who has just been all over a lot of the leaks. I remember he leaked all the PS5 Pro stuff before it happened, I'm pretty sure, and might have leaked the PlayStation Portal stuff before it happened. So can be hit or miss. Take it with a pinch of salt, like all of these leaks, but it is interesting to talk about and speculate. The new PlayStation 6 handheld leak claims Sony needs devs to support the PS5 low power mode. This has just been rolled out quite recently, maybe a month or so ago, to PlayStation 5. There's now a low power mode. I've never tried it. I don't know why anyone would want to. However, it looks like this is their test bed for the PlayStation 6 handheld. By that I mean, if they can get the PlayStation 5 games running on the PlayStation 5 hardware in this low power mode or low power state, they should be able to get them running at the same level, so resolution, fidelity, whatever, frames per second, on this new PlayStation 6S, as people are calling it, because if it's a handheld, it will have a far less power draw, or far less power available to use than, a plugged-in console, which is plugged into your wall. People say, well, wait a minute, this is still too much. However, remember people are saying, it's still too power hungry, this PS5 low power mode for a handheld. But you need to keep in mind that the PlayStation 6S, this PlayStation 6 handheld, will be running on the newest hardware, which will probably be a lot more efficient and powerful than what we have in the PS5 hardware. So I think it is well achievable. And the article here goes on and says, rumours around Sony's next generation have gone from quiet hints to pretty steady stream over the last few months. We have reports of a PlayStation 6 home console, codename Orion, so that will be like our PlayStation 6 console, which will sit under your TV and it will stay in your house and it won't go anywhere. Then we have reports of a native handheld system codenamed Canis, both built around the new AMD Zen 6 architecture. So that's the new Zen 6 CPU and RDNA 5 graphics. See what I mean? The newest, latest and greatest stuff, which should have a lot more, horsepower or AI generated, upscaling abilities than what we have right now. There have been claims about a Switch style docked play, strong ray tracing performance, and even rough price targets for a cheaper PS6S console based on the handheld chip. Now, this is what confuses me. I've spoke about this before on the channel. I don't know if we spoke about this on the podcast, but the way a lot of these leaks are coming out, it makes it sound like there's going to be a PlayStation 6 console, so your home console, sit under your TV, like I said. Then there'll be the PlayStation 6 dedicated handheld, which, will play your games natively, not like the Portal streaming. I'd imagine this will also support streaming, but you will be able to download your games to this PlayStation 6 and then, take it out with you. Also dock it when you get home, and then I would imagine play it on the big screen, just like the Nintendo Switch. Now this PS6S, which I wrongly attributed to the handheld a moment ago, apologies, sounds like it's going to be another home console which is going to be using the hardware from the handheld. So the description I would give of this is, think of the Series X and Series S. So this is like a PlayStation Series S version. I don't know if that works. I don't think that's a good idea. I think the PlayStation 5 console and the handheld makes sense. But having 3 machines launch, we had Jim Ryan say previously when Xbox went down that path with the Series X and Series S that, multiple SKUs typically don't work, because then you've got developers targeting these different hardware configurations and power levels. And we have seen that kind of pan out with the Series X and S, where some games have not been feature complete and have had features and modes missing on the Series S. I think some games don't have like split screen or something, or they're delayed while the developers are trying to get it working, or the games have just skipped Xbox because they're like, we can't be bothered trying to get it working on the Series S. Whether that's right or wrong, or they're lazy, or it is a valid problem, I don't know. We can all debate that in the comments. However, I don't think that strategy has totally worked out for Microsoft the way they thought it would. Most of the sales of the Series consoles have been the cheaper Series S from the last kind of data I'd seen or speculation on it. So this 3 PlayStation consoles, I don't know if this works. They did go on to say on top of that, we have an older leak pointing to a full PS4 and PS5 support on the handheld, a 3nm APU, and a design that can hook up to a TV over USB-C. So this is very interesting. We're getting all this stuff starting to kind of leak out. But what has all this got to do with the low power mode? Like I said, Moore's Law is dead. Says he's heard for a game developer working with Sony's tools on PS5. According to him, Sony has been sending out emails that strongly encourage studios to support the console's low power mode directly, along with tutorials and documentation. Put simply, Sony is not just telling devs, turn on a power saving option and cut the frame rate. The push, according to this report, is to keep 60 frames per second and instead reduce resolution and CPU use until the game fits the low power budget. Razer CPU, the internal CPU utility for PS5, is meant to help studios track down heavy CPU threads and trim them. So this looks like they want developers to do this so that then they can move the games from PS5 running in the low power mode onto the new handheld and it'll work fine, or this PlayStation 6S cheaper one as well. I don't see that happening. I think there's been confusion in a lot of these leaks that people have attributed and confused the PS6S with the handheld. I think the handheld, which docks, and the PS6S is the one thing, and then there's the PS5 console on its own. Let me know what you think about that idea. Do you think I'm going down the right path? Do you hope that's the right path? Or are you like, I'm up for 3 consoles, let me have the choice? Who knows as well, with all these RAM prices going wild, maybe they will want to try and get budget options out there, because maybe the PS6 is going to be even more expensive than we think. I was hoping it would hit maximum 600. I was hoping it would come in less than the PS5 Pro. I think they would be fly with it though. They would have the console come in at £600 or dollars. It wouldn't have a disc drive. That would be another £100 or $100, add-on. So it would be the exact same price as the PS5 Pro console on its own, when the PS6 is like fully loaded with the disc drive. The full quote that Moore's Law is Dead showed on screen was this: "It's becoming glaringly obvious that low power mode is a Trojan horse for getting PS6 handheld support ready before its launch, and they honestly seemed a bit annoyed at how few devs directly support it so far." So here we go. This new PS6 Canis, if it really does ship with 4 Zen 6C big cores for games plus 2 small cores for the system, Sony needs a lot of PS5 titles to already be able to run well on a tighter CPU and power limit. This is all really interesting stuff. We will keep our hands on this. I'm thinking about handheld. Keep our hands on it. We'll keep our eyes on this. So far, here's the kind of rumored specs. So the CPU is 4 times Zen 6C cores, 3 nanometers. The GPU is 12 to 20 RDNA 5 compute units at 1.6 to 2 gigahertz. This is a bit that's interesting. 16 gigabytes of LPDDR5X RAM. That could be pricey depending on what's going on with all this RAM pricing in the world. And the estimated power draw is 15 watts thermal to the board. I'm pretty sure that's similar to like the Steam Deck. I think it's 15 watts power draw. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff. Display is going to be touch screen, storage options, micro SD, and also an M2 SSD slot. So M2 SSD is what's already in your PlayStation 5 right now. It's going to have backward compatibility with PS5 and PS4 games, with PS5 low power mode for better performance matching. other hardware here: dual microphones, haptic vibration, USB-C with fast charging, and video output, speculated to allow dock play on TVs. So there we go, people. What do we think about this? Are we interested in the PS5 console? The PS6 console, sorry. We're all interested in the PS5. We've already got one, don't we? The PS6 console, the PS6 handheld, or a PS6S, cheaper, low power, entry level console. I don't know about that. I'm interested in the PS6 console, obviously, and the PS6 dedicated handheld. I would love a dedicated handheld. You just think the love and the care and the attention that Sony puts into the hardware when they build it. Like, if you pick up today in 2025 the original PlayStation Vita, the one with the OLED screen, it is an absolute masterpiece. It's a work of art. You could launch that today, maybe a bit bigger screen, and people would be like, wow, the quality is just top notch. That thing was so far ahead of its time, and it's such a shame that it wasn't, as successful as the PSP. Otherwise, we might still have had a whole bunch of PlayStation handhelds to this day. However, we've got this PS6 handheld to look forward to. I think it's pretty much a lock-in that is going to happen, and that is what Sony is going to do with this. Let me know if you'll be picking up a PS6 handheld in the future.